Well, this is Baruch Fleischman here at the Tikkun Elevator Kolol, and also I am sending this shir out to the Devekas channel. For ultimate connection with God, the 7-step guide to Jewish spirituality. This is a fantastic book for those special individuals who are listening, who are trying to climb beyond the race that we're in this world. Where is eternity? Is there such a thing? That's what Rabbi Mimran really is talking about. How do we connect to it? If it's real, where is it? So here it sounds like this. Here's the question here is in this part 5 is called, How Am I? And the basic idea is this, he wants to say like this. Distance yourself from all who waste their time with only worldly affairs and distract you from attaching yourself to your Creator. Rather, attach yourself to your Maker, who is called the source of the living waters. Now, let's go into this and see what he has to say. He says, as we will discuss later on, there are various Jewish meditations found in ancient Kabbalistic writings. Now, Rabbi Mimran has a background, his grandfather's a great Kabbalist in Eretz Yisrael. So he has known Kabbalists besides studying himself. One such method is based on reaching the level of nothingness, or in Hebrew the word is ein, which will be explained. This meditation on nothingness opens the door to prophecy. It can also be used to get in touch with the innermost self. You think we have psychiatrists and psychiatrists, and we have difficult lives in many different places. Here comes now the psychology of the ancient Kabbalah. Somebody's bringing it out. It's Rabbi Mimran. This, of course, raises the question, what is the nature of the self? What is the self? Normally, when a person thinks of himself, the first thing he thinks of is his body. It's almost a reflex action. Ask a person to point to himself, and he will almost inevitably point to his chest. Perhaps, if he is more perceptive, he will point to his head, the seat of the brain, seeing the mind as being more representative of the self than the body. Now, the Kabbalists point out that the body is not the self. Since I can speak of my body, I could talk about my arms, legs, and stuff like that. The body cannot be me. The body is mine. It belongs to me. Something associated with the me. But the ultimate me is something much more profound than the body. Using the same argument, I can also speak of my mind. Indeed, I speak of my mind just as I speak of my body. This would imply that just as the body is not the real me, that the mind is also not the real me. Carrying the argument a step further, I can even speak of my soul. This would imply that even the soul is not the real me. This being the case, the question of selfhood becomes very difficult indeed. So that's what I said, what he said, Rabbi Mimran had said. He says, how am I? I think it means who am I, but okay, how am I? Or how do I come to be? I'm not sure what how am I means. So it says, what is the real me? What is the real me? A hint to the answer can be found in the Hebrew word for I, which is ani, Aleph Nun Yud. It is significant to note that if the letters of ani are rearranged, they spell the word ayin, which means nothing, which denotes nothingness. This would seem to imply that the real me is the nothingness within me. This can be understood in a fairly straightforward manner. The real me is my sense of volition. It is the intangible will that compels me to do whatever I decide to do. Even if I think, I must first will myself to think. In that sense, this is even higher than thought. It is therefore impossible for me to imagine the source of my will. Now, he's using this word will because we understand that this is a very difficult, the deepest possible concept, I think. And there is no category in my conscious mind in which it will fit. Therefore, when I try to imagine the source of my will, the real me, all I can depict is nothingness. Now, some of this I would like to read again. So he said that you could take the word, just to paraphrase the word ani, which is I, can also be transposed to be the word ayin, which means nothing. Now, let's read from this place. This can be understood in a fairly straightforward manner. The real me is my sense of volition. Well, this is the first thing I have. Is volition, I think, means choice, what I want to do. It is the intangible will that impels me to do whatever I decide to do. So there is some force, he said, that directs everything else that you will do. Even if I think, I must first will myself to think. Even if I think, I have to will myself to think. I have to want to think. In that sense, I'm not sure what that meant, but in that sense, will is even higher than thought. So before you can you think of something, there has to be some impetus to make the thinking process start. That impetus, he says, is will. It is therefore impossible for me to imagine the source of my will, and there is no category in my conscious mind into which it will fit. Will is beyond thought. Therefore, when I try to imagine the source of my will, which is the real me, all I can depict is nothingness. Now, this is not such an easy way to understand it. He says that this is a simple, straightforward understanding. Let's go on. This can also be understood in a deeper manner. If the most basic ingredient of self is will, then this must also be connected to divine will. There is a will inside of the will. In this sense, a person's will comes from the spark of the divine in the person. So therefore, that's where the will comes from. It comes from, again, he used the word divine. It's a nice word. I say the word of eternity. It's inside of the person. Therefore, when a person visualizes nothingness, he is to some degree in touch with the divine within himself, because the divine within us is nothing. This can be understood, not so easily, but it can be understood on the basis of Kabbalistic teachings that the highest spiritual levels can be understood only in terms of nothingness. Last blurb. When a person visualizes nothingness, he is to some degree in touch with the divine within himself. This is Baruch Fleischman. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kolol, and we're saying this year also on the, what's it called? Oh, the Vekas Network.